I don't really know where to start. I guess just in the context of this with my reentry, um, I'm 34. I was just released from Westville prison uh, back in July, so just over 4 months ago. Um, I served almost 8 years there for a battery charge, and I am a 100% different person than I was before I was incarcerated. So now I work full time at Goodwill. Um, I actually just got a promotion up there, which is cool. And I'm also in college right now through Ivy Tech for software development. So I don't really know what more to say about me. I'm just a really, really busy person with my reentry right now. I've got a lot of catching up to do, in 8 years. It's a long time of not really doing anything. So, I'm doing good, getting back on my feet, taking things one day at a time. I've been sober for 8 years now, which is very important to me. Um, yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm just kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of dude. I go day by day and try to enjoy my life for what it is now. I live here at the reentry home in Gary, which has been great. I mean, I know Gary itself gets kind of a bad rap, but honestly, it's much better here for me than where I would have gone back to in Indianapolis. It's been a really positive experience. Like I said, I've had the ability to come out of prison looking to start over again, and I'm not, I haven't had to start all the way over from scratch.
Right.
I'm starting over from experience,
Yeah.
but I've got the opportunity here to kind of take things step by step and not have to worry or struggle so much with the same problems that I might have in a different environment with my reentry.
So, what has the reentry process been like for you?
Um, so internally, when I think about it myself and I look at everything, there are times where it's a bit overwhelming, where I'm actually doing too much, but I feel like I'm not doing enough. Like, mentally things are just a little out of sync. But the feedback that I get from the support network that I have is that I'm doing amazing, and when I when I hear that, I can actually see it. And I'm able to take a step back and kind of, analyze things. There's some things that were kind of weird when I first got out, going to going to the grocery store. I know it sounds weird, but like going to
No.
the grocery store and being in a crowded environment around people, it's just different out here now than what I'm used to. In prison over a long time, you get used to sort of being in constant survival mode and having that fight or flight response all the time. And so coming out here, I know logically that I don't have to be that way all the time, but it is very hard to shut off. Um, So being in a crowded place now, it's I tried to describe this to a friend of mine. It's where, in prison I lived on a hallway basically with 80 other dudes, and there was actually very little physical contact, even though we were very overcrowded. Everybody was sort of hyper aware of their surroundings and how close they were to other people, and there was sort of a respectful distance maintained.
Hmm.
And now, the average person in society doesn't actually have that same hyper awareness. So, I feel like I'm constantly having to, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like,
No.
in a way, I kind of cringe away from people instinctively, but I'm trying to mentally check myself on that. So that's one of the things that's been kind of a struggle. It's getting better over time. That feeling has started to fade. Um,
Well, I guess that kind of goes into the next question of what has made reentry more difficult.
yeah, yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
You know, so with the program with the Community Change Center, things have been made pretty easily for my ease.
Mm.
But if this wasn't here, I don't know what I would have done for housing. I don't know what I would have done for, necessarily work or anything like that. I had very limited savings when I came out of prison. I had about $500 saved up, which is actually quite a bit more than a lot of people do.
Hmm.
And to start over from nothing, um, materialistically, uh, that would have been a massive issue. I probably would have been broke within the first week or two. And, it took me a little over 5 weeks to start my job that I have now. I went through dozens of rejection emails from potential employers based on my background. Um, there's all these lists that get printed of felon-friendly employers, and I applied at several of them. And when it came time to talk about criminal background, turns out they're not as felony friendly as you might be led to believe. Um, I did an interview at Walmart. They're a felon-friendly employer, according to listings. And when it came time to talk about my background, they basically just cut the interview short and said, "Thank you for your time." You know, Best Buy, I went through the entire process with Best Buy. I went through an a video interview online. I went through an in-person interview with an assistant manager. Then I got bumped up to an in-person interview with the general manager, who gave me a standing job offer, understood that I had a felony, was going to hire me anyway, and then turned around and corporate above him, after doing my background check, retracted that offer for employment. And so to me, it was just a giant waste of time.
Hmm.
So it was difficult to find a job. Thank goodness that Goodwill will literally hire anybody and has a lot of programs for people. They've been very, very good to me so far. I've actually, I've gotten two promotions since I started there so far, and I've only been there 3 months.
So, what resources do you think have been helpful to you as you reintegrate back into the community?
So, Community Change Center for one, just this halfway house being here. Um, has been a massive help. I didn't have to struggle to find housing. Um, the Recovery Works grant that I received um, has been paying for portions of my rent since I got out. So that they paid fully for the first couple of months that I was out, my full rent,
Hmm.
and then they've gone on a descending scale. So I'm still not paying the full monthly rent right now. I'm paying partial, which has really helped out. It's helped me be able to save some money towards purchasing a vehicle when I get my license back in January. Um, Stamps and HIP were available pretty much immediately when I got out. All I had to do was walk over to the office and provide proper identification and documentation of where I was staying and everything, and that came through pretty much immediately. Um, and then, like I said, Goodwill was a major resource. I started through the Excel Center with their work experience program, which basically bypassed the traditional hiring process and got me started working within a week. It was at a lower pay rate for a probationary period of 30 days, but it was pretty much guaranteed employment. So that was helpful.
What do you wish was available to you to make the reentry process a little easier?
I wish that more things were actually taken care of before you ever leave prison. Um, I did a lot of work myself, actively trying to set things up for my reentry, actively searching for the resources. If you don't do that, no one tells you. No one really helps you out. You know, there's no sit down with your caseworker, let's find a place, let's do this, let's do that. There's sort of that, but when it comes down to it, if you don't have a place to go when it's your day to leave, you just leave and they drop you off at probation and say see ya. Um, it's there are several things that are supposed to be set up for you ahead of time before you leave that the system is just failing out on. Um, I applied multiple times for my birth certificate and social security card before I left prison. They never showed up. So luckily, my mother still had my original copies of my birth certificate and social security card and was able to express mail them to me. But without that, I would have just been SOL. That was something that was supposed to be taken care of and was not. Healthcare was one that was supposed to be set up and ready to go when I got out, and I had to physically go to the office myself and talk to them and sit down and do a whole interview process in order to get it activated. Had I not gone to do that myself after getting out, I wouldn't have had health coverage. So, there's these programs that are supposed to be in place and ready to go before you leave that the system is not doing.
What are some of the goals that you're working toward now?
So short term, I'm looking at getting my license back in January and getting myself a vehicle. Um, I've done pretty good on savings so far. I do have enough to put a down payment on a vehicle. I've done the work to start rebuilding my credit again using a credit builder card. Um, Long term, I get off of probation next year, and then I'm pretty much home free and can do whatever I want. So my plans are I want to be able to buy myself an RV, and me and my girlfriend are looking at traveling. I'm working on my software development degree through Ivy Tech right now. So long term, I'm hoping to finish out that degree and be able to work remotely doing software development. That way, I'm not specifically tied down to any region. The only thing I would really like to express is my extreme gratitude for Sam and the Reading Reentry Book Club and everything that put in place for me. Because without that, I don't know what I would have done with my reentry. So this has been a very, very real blessing in my life.